Bearcat Bounce Podcast. Back at it again. Happy Monday. We have 4 hours until April. That's right. The countdown is on 4 hours until April. April is almost here. April apathy, some call it, but April nonetheless. April, your way to the crown. April, your way to victory. April, your way to DePaul. April, your way to the transfer portal. April, your way to a very special guest, because even though the crown starts for the Bearcats tomorrow, later on in April is an important time for the very special guest that we are going to have on. And all the crew is assembled. Everyone's ready to rock. So without further ado, it's time to introduce everybody. For Aaron Smith, we got Chad Brendel, we got Ryan Royer, and we got D'Artagnan Tinsley, a.k.a. DT, a.k.a. D-Town, all here. Gentlemen, how are we?
Doing good. Doing good. Yes, sir.
No complaints here. Football practice today. You weren't there today, DT. I don't know if you weren't there today. Where are you at today? Uh-oh.
So my audio just cut out.
Uh-oh.
But yeah, everything's good. I went to Publix for the third time in 5 days today.
Okay.
So, you know, they have good food.
Like Publix?
Like Publix. There's a Publix in Northern Kentucky now.
Wow.
So
well, welcome. Pub subs, good chicken.
I've had 2 pub subs. I've had their soup is really good. I had a soup and salad for dinner tonight. So yeah, I'm a big Publix guy
Jesus.
now. DT will be back. D-Town. He heard the intro because he responded to the "How are we?" But
and then we lost him.
He'll be back. He'll be back. He's a man of his word. He's heading to dinner, so we need to get him rolling.
There we go.
Here we go.
It's like the audio cut out, dog.
Okay.
Yeah,
back.
man.
Chad, you want to try talking? See if we got everyone.
Yeah, I was at practice today. No DT. I was wondering where you were.
Yeah, man. Y'all can hear me the whole time or nah?
Yeah. We could hear you. You couldn't hear us.
Yeah. Okay. I got you.
You didn't say anything too bad though, so it's fine.
Yeah, I made sure to say Jesus right there, dog. Say Jesus.
well, I mean, praise the Lord though. That's it. You know?
Yeah, man.
Help make it work. Make it work. But yeah, all right, cool. We're here. Aaron, how are we?
I'm fine. We the youngest at 9 months, she is taking her first steps yesterday, so it was a big deal here in our house. So a lot of fun there.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations, Aaron. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Mr. Royer, sir. How's the boy doing?
Doing well. Had a good weekend. Started a new role at work today, so it's a new beginning, but still sticking with the same old roots here on the pod. So excited to talk to DT. Don't believe I've met him yet, so I'm excited. Should be a good show.
I mean, DT, you were there for when Royer was the ring announcer, right? At Higher Ground?
Okay, yeah. I was there in 22 for that. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
With the wrestling thing.
Yeah, with Felino and all that. Yeah, that was the only time I ever seen you.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to meet me, I guess.
No, but bro, it match up. The stories out here, it matches up well.
Hopefully all good, man.
All good stories. There's no doubt about that. Well, you know what? We got to dive in because DT or D-Town, I heard, is another good nickname for you. It's time for you. You're heading to dinner, so big dinner plan for tonight. Excited to hear about how that goes. But I mean, we got to dive right into the pod right away. So let's just fire it up. Typical starting question: how have things been since the season wrapped up? As you prep Hula Bowl in the past, you out-repped John Williams at the Big 12 Pro Day last week. Congrats on that. 30 on their head, or was that 2 weeks ago? 30 on their head, I think you said. So you know what? Just break it down. How things been since the season wrapped up as you prepare for the NFL draft?
I think it's been smooth, man. Season ended late November, last week in November, I'm pretty sure, and then all December. I kind of went back home to Western Kentucky, just, training with my trainer out there. His name's Kevin Booth. Was with him the whole month, just, working everything that we would work with Nico and Coach G and those guys. And then kind of left from Kentucky, went down to Florida, Fort Myers to be exact. Was training at X3, same spot that Jawan Briggs trained at last year. So was down there for combine prep, really just honing in on the craft of a 40-yard dash and a 3-cone and a 5.10.5, even though as a big guy, me personally, I don't think that really plays a factor, but the trainer was well needed, and kind of like you said, man, you had the Hula Bowl there, and then you had the Big 12 Pro Day, and now we're here. Like, we got a opportunity to perform at the Hula, and then another opportunity to perform at the Big 12 Pro Day, and I kind of like it. I think we did well.
What did you feel like you made the most improvement in all those kind of combine drills? Did you say more speed-wise, or power and strength has kind of always been there?
Yeah, like power and strength's been there. Shout out to Nico, shout out to Coach Brady and them. I definitely have to say, like, 3-cone was probably my best thing that really wowed me, just from, training it the past 3 months and then going out there and performing it. The touches was, very swift. Like, it felt good. And, I mean, the time, kind of showed that. I think 40-yard dash was probably second. I could have did better on that. But, you can't go back in time, so we take what we get.
Is there one of those that they, scouts like to hone in on more for linemen? Is it the 3-cone or the 5.10.5? I know everyone gets all hyped up when guys break the 5-second 40 and all that stuff, but is there one thing that you kind of notice most scouts gravitate towards?
Oh yeah, no, most definitely. I think I'd probably say 3-cone because I think it shows how you bend. At the same time, it shows how you can change direction swiftly versus if that's the top of the cone or running the figure 8, and then lastly it shows your burst between 5 yards. So I think 3-cone is probably higher on their list. I'd put short shuttle second, and then throw your 40 in there last.
Yeah, well, that's good. You did best on the one that matters most, man.
Yeah,
Congrats.
man. Had that pressure up off me.
There you go.
So dating back a little bit, when you transferred to Cincinnati, fans love, guys that transfer from Alabama or whatever, Ohio State, you name it. Here comes this name up, D'Artagnan Tinsley, small school, rural Kentucky. Not a lot of people knew a whole lot about you. What was that experience like for you when Cincinnati first called, when this started to become a thing where you went from kind of an unknown guy to a guy that was committing to a team that just came off of a college football playoff run?
Man, I'll tell you what, dog, it was super wild. Like, I grew up a Cincinnati fan and, Buckeye, but we ain't even going to pay attention to them. But so growing up watching Tony Pike and Marty Gilliard, even Pat Lambert, a lot of people forget he was on those teams, but Pat Lambert, we ain't going to mention that. But, growing up watching them and having family up this way, like, going through that whole process and finally having them kind of jump in the last second, like, hey, we want you to come here on a full ride was, kind of dream come true, I'd say. I definitely remember coming in as like this small school guy and wasn't really nervous, but definitely a little uncomfortable because I tell people all the time, you go from playing in front of 100 people to, Nip can probably get 53 on a good day or 51,000 or somewhere around there. So it's like you go from playing in front of 100 people at a middle school stadium to 53,000 screaming. So kind of felt like there was big shoes to fill. You kind of hinted at the team before us in 22. Like that's a revolutionary team. That's a history team. Like college football playoff as a group of 5 teams. So the standard was still there to win right away. And I just kind of came in. I'm like, all right, I'll try to learn from guys like Dio, guys like Nets, Tunts, and Coop, and then we'll see what happens after that.
I mean, that team was so good that they were giving like Make-A-Wish kids a chance to block punts.
That's
Holy
wild.
shit.
So, bro, I gotta ask you, not to go off topic. Gotta ask you, what was your
Me?
reaction? Yeah, what was your reaction when you see that pop up?
I mean, like, you know, I knew those guys pretty well in the recruiting department. So you're able to kind of get information that not everybody else has. And the word from them was, look, you got to trust us on this one because this kid is big. He can move, he can bend, he's got big hands. Like he's got a chance to help us. And like, I've been doing this long enough to know, like, unless you're at those elite schools, offensive lineman is the most random of all, because guys develop at different times, their bodies develop at different times, they grow into their frame at different, like, you know, humans aren't naturally 6'5", 310 pounds and move well. So you got to find them where you can find them. So I generally, you know, take their word on that because they know more than me. But it's like, well, you better be right because, you know, you've got a lot of momentum. You're recruiting at a higher level. You're getting ready to go into the Big 12. If you're going to take a chance on somebody like that, you better be sure of it. And they were absolutely sure of it. Like they were like, it might take him a year or so, but let this kid get up to speed, and we're confident that he's going to be able to come in here and help us on the line.
I got you. Yeah, I just was always curious of that. Like, I know, you know, we chopped it up a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I ain't never actually asked you that question. So,
no, I mean, it's fair because, I mean, you were at a small school. Like you said, you played at a middle school in front of 100 people. Like that is not usually where, you know, hey, we just signed a transfer offensive lineman that they were doing probably like tractor pulls at halftime.
Tractor pulls is crazy. Crazy word.
I mean, am I wrong? You guys had a tractor pull at halftime at least once, didn't you?
I don't even know, dog. I don't even know. I know you had pregame prayer and then postgame prayer. Outside
He
of
was
that,
locked in. He didn't have time for the tractor pull. He was in the locker room.
Well, you know, all you had to do was throw on that huddle tape. You see that touchdown, and on the first play of that huddle tape, you're like, okay,
see,
this
is you guys as Adam Schefter.
Huh?
He watched the highlights. Amazing.
Well, no, break down that play. I mean, because back that got some buzz. I mean, big man touchdown. There's no one that loves big man touchdown more than me.
All right, man. So I'll let the pod in on a little secret, man. That touchdown got called back, but
huddle tape doesn't show that.
Hey, that's something I would do.
As an offensive lineman, it's forever a touchdown in my book.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the play call that we ran at that point was like, I think we called it 45 quick or something. 45 quick. Then on the back end had like my initials, like BT. So it's like outside zone to the left. You're faking it like you're running outside zone. I slip out. Running back throws it back to the quarterback. Quarterback's posted up behind me. I don't even know what type of route that was. To be honest, I think I just ran flat. He dumped it off. And then, you know, crib call. I used to play a little running back in Pop Warner, so I had to tap back in, dog.
There we go.
You
outgrew running back a little bit.
Man, not running, bro. I was trying to be like you, man. I was trying to get the people going. No.
Were you a late growth spurt guy?
Most definitely, yeah. Like junior year of high school,
even harder to be able to move. Just all of a sudden, you're like, "What the hell do I even do?"
I'm telling you, look, y'all want a good laugh tonight? Go cut on my high school tape. Like that's that is funny, super funny. Like I just look long and lanky, don't really know how to use my body well. Grew from like 6'1" to 6'4" in like a summer. So,
damn.
Yeah.
What would you say like that year that you finally felt like you grew into your frame and you got comfortable moving around, you know, at that tackle kind of size?
You said what year?
Yeah.
I'd probably say sophomore year at KCU. It was our COVID season. You know, got real comfortable in that spot at right tackle.
Nice.
So you had what? Mike Cummings, right? Was the coach that kind of was in contact with you, and from Central Michigan came here for the final year with Vic, and then obviously you had Cardwell the last 2 years. Just the different mixes of coaches that you had throughout your time at UC. What did you kind of take from each one of them, and then a special cherry on top? You got to break down both Brady and Nico, because Brady and Nico have both been on this pod. What, Chad, combined 100 times roughly?
Okay, so we're starting with Cummins and Cardwell, right? That's what you want?
Yeah.
I'd say two different coaching styles. One's more old school, one's more just get hands on them, 2-hand punch, be real nasty and gritty, in which Cardwell's the same way in forms of, what type of play. But just technique wise, the way they taught technique completely different. Like one's from back in 07, 08 that's worked for many years at Central Michigan, and then you got Cardwell, where he's like this new younger offensive line coach that kind of wants to revamp how you play, but he plays to your strengths as well, versus Cummins was like, hey, this is how I want it done, make sure it gets it, you get it done this way. I'd have to say, with Cardwell too, it's like that's probably the first coach that I've been around that'll literally will rip your ass and then turn around and like dap you up and be your homeboy after. And then at the same time, like he's still learning himself. So whether that's him going and watching offensive line tape from NFL teams, or, calling around and seeing how he can improve your play, whether that's just by drills that we do or drills that other people do at the next level, like he's all in being an offensive line coach for sure.
Yeah, I mean, well, before you go into Brady and Nico, because that we need juicy answer on that one, but it did seem like, Chad obviously has been to a bunch of practices, but the ones that I saw, especially, in pregame and kind of where when you're in your individuals, it looked like Cardwell had you guys running a lot more, kind of just, obviously the outside zone and different things of that sort. Did you feel like you were kind of had to amp up the athleticism when Cardwell took over?
Yeah, I mean, two different, play schemes. Like we went from being counter power inside zone heavy with Coach Gadouli's offense to being super hand in the dirt, getting out quick, trying to establish the edge with Coach Satt. So it's like, you had to be more athletic. So a whole lot more running in the offense now versus back then, for sure. Like, I played in 22 at like 338 pounds. You can't do that in the offensive line. It wasn't the offensive scheme that we got now. You'll be tired before halftime.
Right.
Better off chilling with Chad and go drinking Cincy Light at that point. But
I mean, that's usually a much better time than crashing, being in a car crash every snap.
Man.
Little Martino's $5 pitcher never hurts.
Look, Ryan, you went to Woody's a lot, didn't you? You was a Woody Wednesday type of
not a ton, man. I wasn't a big. I wasn't there all the time, but enough.
He wasn't there all the time. He was just there most of the time.
Man.
He hung out with nerds though. Like he hung out with Alec Pierce, and Alec had to get home and study early.
Man.
Yeah. We'll say that.
So 30 reps at the Big 12 Pro Day. Do you credit that to Brady Collins or Nico Palizzetti? There we go. That's a good way to ask it.
Here we go. Here we go. So, yeah. I love this. Look, this is a part of my major, man. I love being on the stand. I got to give that to Nico. I think Coach Brady taught me, a lot of things, but at the same time, we were only together for 1 year.
Yeah.
Versus, with the strength staff we got right now, I've been with these guys for 2 years. And it's safe to say, like, I'm cool with every single one of those guys. Like, I chop it up with every single one of those guys daily, whether that's Scotty, G, or Coach Chris, or Robo. Like, it's a real family. So they kind of broke it down to a science when they first got here on how they want it done. Coach G is literally a mastermind when it comes to pro day drills. So, like, I came home to UC for 2 weeks and probably learned a tad bit more that I didn't learn in Florida just from him. And, you know, he's kind of the same way as Carwell, but, you know, in the strength world aspect, like he's always looking to learn. So no knock to Brady, but I got to give it to Nico, man. That's my dog.
Amen.
Bearcats, baby, as he would say.
Bearcats, baby. Nico.
Yeah. I'm on here with Chad Brindle, man. Feels great, dog.
It's from a player's perspective, what are the challenges of that off season during a coaching search? Because I'm sure there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of anxiety. How am I going to fit with these people? Am I going to click? Am I going to, do I transfer? Like, what is that ultimately like? I'm sure you were like all of us, woke up that Saturday morning and the news breaks that Fickell's gone. And everybody kind of went into freak out mode. As a player, what's that entail for you?
So I can only speak on personal experience. I remember getting, he put out the little team message, and then we got called into a team meeting. He informed the team, like, he was going on to Wisconsin, which, more power to him. And then after that, I mean, for me, just speaking on my experience, it didn't really matter for me. I was still Cincinnati through and through, whether that was Coach Gino or we could have went and got Prime. Like, we could have got Dion, and I would have been fine with that. We could have went and got Jake Russell from Kentucky Christian University. I would have been like, all right, cool. Like, because I'm just grateful for the opportunity. Like, it's super rare to go from NAIA to the position that I'm in, so I wasn't really studying the coach. Whoever comes in is obviously going to want to run it the way that they run it. So I was all open ears and open arms.
And then Coach Satt and the new staff takes over, obviously. Year one didn't go quite as planned, but year two, you guys made some strides, and it seems like, the momentum's going forward. Is that kind of what you feel like as the culture kind of continues to build with Satt and everyone in the locker room?
Yeah, most definitely. I tell people all the time, I think year one was just strictly damage control. Like, you had guys from the old staff, you had last second recruitment, so he really didn't get to put it together like how he wanted. Like, he really didn't get to build that culture. So that moves on to year two. I think he had a good set of leaders at that point. He kind of fizzled the guys that he didn't want out, and then he brought his guys in that he liked, and it helped the culture, which now the culture's established, the standards there, and then it's all about meeting expectations now.
What's the biggest thing? Yeah, one more from me and then Roy. What's the biggest thing you want to kind of work on as obviously the not the elephant in the room, but obviously you're on here because we're draft prepping. We got the NFL draft coming up at the end of the month. What's kind of your main focus in these final few weeks as that draft prep continues to wear on?
I think now the main focus is strictly on, first and foremost, just getting the body right. Like, you go from 3 months of just doing combine training to where the point you're really not in football shape. So, this last couple of weeks has literally just been conditioning, lifting, getting back with Coach G, and getting the body back right. And then, just prepping mentally, because you don't never know. You could still be in Cincinnati, but at the same time, you could be all the way in Los Angeles. So just prepping the mind mentally for what's next, understanding the assignment and knowing that you're about to go in as a younger guy again, which you haven't had to do since you entered college. So just it's really mental at that point. You know how to play ball, you know what your talents are. So kind of turn that loose and just go out there and have fun with it. We'll also start learning, from some vets as well.
Talk some ball, Royer.
You said what?
I just want to. You want to talk ball? I was going to say, how do you feel like the two different offenses you played in kind of translates to the NFL? Like, do you feel like it's a kind of a good balance and mix having both of them, or do you feel like you're better off like having one or the other offense kind of get you ready to head into camp with an NFL team? Because you could kind of say a lot of teams like to run the same kind of run schemes for the most part, but some teams bring in new wrinkles. But which one would you kind of favor towards? as you head into camp?
Okay, so you want me to pick between the two? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like do you feel like one of the other kind of you can lean on a little bit more your experience with either like a Guduli or Satterfield offense?
I'd have to probably go Sat. It's just like it's the way that the league's moving towards right now. Like if you look over the last 5 years on which run scheme has been heavy in the NFL, it's been a lot of wide zone. Whether that's the Colts, the Browns, the Cowboys, the Titans, San Fran is literally running that almost every play. Like everything they do is from either, under center, I form, or it's from a pistol backfield. So it's like kind of gone are the days of power and counter football. They still use, power and counter, but it's kind of like a wrinkle now versus everything's just wide zone. Can we get the edge? Because, 9 times out of 10, you get the edge, you win the game. So I'd probably have to tip it to Sat. Plus, I'd say, too, with Guduli, though, it's like I feel like we passed a lot more. We still had Trey Tucker and Tyler Scott in there. So, like, we aired it out as well.
What's one thing that you're going to miss the most about Cincinnati?
Okay, that's a great one. I'd probably have to say just like that bond that you have with your teammates, whether that's going through camp and, you've been to higher ground, so we all know what that's like, or if it's just getting ready pregame, just in the locker room, bumping music with those guys or going through off-season lifts. Like, that's the type of stuff that I remember. Like, it's super cool to go out there in front of 53,000 people, but at the same time, when you go home or when you're away for 2 years, how many people there are still going to remember you? It's probably a higher chance that your teammates will remember you. So, I have to just say like that bond that you have with those last, 3 teams that I've been a part of.
Yeah, I
Royer's
completely
old
agree.
teammates still talk about him to this day.
And man, I'm telling you, hey Chad, we gotta get him a statue, man. You gotta put him right next to the Bearcat. As soon as the indoor opened up, dog. I've heard about Ryan Royer so much, and I've never met you in person, but nah, you're a legend around the locker room. I don't even. What's the song? What's the song thing?
Pump It Up.
The song.
Was it Pump It Up?
I don't know if you're talking about. There's another thing I used to do. It's a bad remix, and you trick everyone into thinking it's the normal song, but then it's it's a bad remix. All the guys are tweaking out. If you're talking about that one, that's off air, but the Pump It Up, that's actually Bolden. Kyle Bolden's the Pump It Up guy. I always got to give him the credit, but
you were just the face of it on the sideline doing this. The camera always had to do something you on the sideline.
So that started with you, the hand pump.
Yeah, that was the celebration when I would go in with the threes and beat up on the 17-year-old early enrollees. They're going to prom next week, and I'm blitzing their ass every play, making them look silly.
I mean, you can say names of who you blew up, man. I mean,
Tinsley, he abused Landon Fickle. Landon Fickle's first spring game.
Not Lando, dog.
Just abused him. Man. He picked on that poor kid.
I was 17. 20.
He should have been going to prom that weekend.
Yeah, I was like 23 years old, and these kids they barely know the goddamn inside run, and they're dealing with me, who's been there for 4 years. So I'm like, feels good to make a play, but it's also kind of like, oh well, can't be too high on myself here.
Right.
Yeah. We had fun. Feels good to make a play, but I'm also an asshole for picking on this poor kid.
Yeah, I know Lando hard on himself, man. I know that was tough.
Now you know why. Ryan broke his confidence before his first spring practice was done.
Man.
Hey, it was just a body in the way at that point. It had no name.
No lie, DT. People were coming out of that spring game going, is Roy going to play? Like, is he going to start? Is he going to play?
Like, who was 35 out there?
Coach Fickle had to take like serious questions from the media. Like, are we going to be seeing more of that 35? And he's like laughing. I'm like, yeah, that's. I'm like, how do I handle this one? It's like, oh, I'm getting some good kind of talk from the media, but it's making my coach laugh at the thought of playing me. It's just, it's
that was literally when I asked him if you were going to be a candidate for the Heisman, right?
Well, the Heisman was floating around out there.
Yeah, let's not make this about my jackassery. Let's get back to DT here. Come on.
Man. Well, no, DT was the one that said we should craft a statue. I mean,
I'm just saying, man. He's a legend.
Look, you would think they would be talking about Sauce and Dez and like Kobe, but that locker room still talks about Ryan Royer.
Look, he's blessed him, man. Yeah, dog.
Got him speechless.
I want to make this about you, man. You had a hell of a career. You're coming off a good ass pro day. A lot of promise. We don't have to rehash the Make-A-Wish. Let's get back to.
All right, yeah, we can get back on track.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
So you said you missed the locker room and the guy. That's going to be. I was going to say I feel the same way, man. 3 years later, but just remember how lucky you are, because I'm in a cubicle 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. So don't take this shit for granted. You got a hell of a chance here, man, and I'm pulling for you. I'm expecting big things for you, man. I'm excited.
What teams have you heard from? How's the process been going?
Man, that's how you know. I know you worked in media for a while. I knew that question was coming.
I waited 32 and a half minutes to bring it out. Like, I have to ask you at some point in time.
So, man, per my age, I just got to disclose that. We've talked to some teams. Though. It's been some teams. There's been, some Zooms.
Do any of their mascots start with a B and end with an S?
Hey, man, I know Bengals local pro day is April 15th. That's all I can tell you, dog.
You'll be there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be there for that.
There we go.
Let's go.
But so will other people from around Ohio. So that doesn't juice anything, but.
Well, it does a little bit for me. But what's your favorite on-field Bearcat memory?
I'll probably say beating Arizona State this year on homecoming. That was my first game back after the whole leg injury. So definitely was a little questionable about coming back and stuff, leg banged up and whatnot. But, shout out to Aaron. I'll be calling Aaron the GOAT. Got me back right. So just having that opportunity to go out there and play again and then getting that win, I'll probably have to say that. That's probably the best one.
That is awesome. Yeah. Golly. So what? We've already talked next steps, but the next step for you is a tasty dinner. Let's
get to this real quick. Brent, you've never had Texas Roadhouse?
Ever. It's outrageous.
No, never. I've never had Texas
How's that
Roadhouse.
possible?
I got a gift card one time from someone, and I gave it to an Uber driver one night.
Is there a Roadhouse around you?
There might be. I just, it just was never really my avenue. I never really hit up the Texas Roadhouse. I mean, nothing against it. I've heard great things. Those rolls I heard they're pretty deadly. You eat 1 million of them, and they put your name on the wall or something. That's probably not true. But
when's your birthday, man?
It's in February. It just passed, man. You missed it.
All right. Well, I had to give you a late birthday present, like a $25 gift card or something. And don't give it to the Uber driver. Like you got to
you can't trust him with a gift card. He's going to give it to the Uber driver.
Well, the Uber driver was going on and on about how he just went to a date at the Texas Roadhouse. I said, "Oh, you like the Texas Roadhouse?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "I've got a gift card I haven't used. You want it?" And I made his day. He said, "It made my day." So there we go. We're out here just making people's days. Gosh, I'm getting rolled about not being to Texas Road.
That's outrageous. It's like the most common steakhouse to go to. That's why I'm shocked.
I love steak. I've been to steak places for sure.
Brent doesn't go anywhere that the steak costs less than $50.
Okay,
he's kind of high society.
I was gonna say so. Ruby's, like you hit up Ruby's often.
St. Elmo's. Sure. He's an Indianapolis guy.
There it is. He's Ruth Chris. Yeah, Eddie Malone.
Okay.
Yeah, we can go down to
My bad. You might go to Texas
I will
Roadhouse.
go to
and feel broke.
Texas
You might
Roadhouse.
feel like you on Section 8, brother. Never
Hey,
mind.
after
Don't do that.
after the Bearcats win, no worries. No, but yeah, but after the Bearcats win the Crown tournament, I will go to Texas Roadhouse to celebrate. How about that? There we go.
Man, I need
Lock
that. You
it
got to at me in that picture. Like I'm gonna just
Yeah, you
like
got to film it.
I will, and I'll pound.
Christmas.
I will pound the rolls with cinnamon butter. I'll eat it plain. There we go. Do the whole night.
Oh man.
Lock it in. Lock it in.
DT, we appreciate it, brother. Once you go through this process and you find your NFL destination, we'll have you back on in a couple months to let us know what the experience has been like on the other side. Okay.
Yes, sir, man. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, brother. You've always been great to me. I love covering your journey at UC, and thanks for coming on the show. And I know John Williams was probably sitting next to you and hasn't said a word the entire time.
Yeah, be quiet. No, I'm joking. No, yeah.
We'll be legendary. You show the camera.
I got my foot
John
there
just
recently.
sitting there.
Yeah, most definitely. I appreciate it. I hope I gave y'all some laughs. You know,
Oh, you were great.
I'll
Appreciate you,
start
brother.
the petition for Ryan. We get him the
Okay.
statue in front of the
Okay.
stadium. But yep, I appreciate
You got
bro.
better things to worry about, man. Come on.
Yes, sir. All righty. I'll let y'all.
All right, appreciate you, man.
DT.
Enjoy your
Good luck,
dinner.
man. We'll
Thanks,
see ya.
DT. Good luck, man.
All righty.
Peace.
One of my favorites, man.
There we go.
That was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I don't know that I've seen Brent that uncomfortable in quite some time.
Well,
As he was trying to gingerly tiptoe around. I've never been to Texas Roadhouse.
Is it really that crazy? I whatever.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah. Let's
Really missing out, man.
I've been to O'Charlie's. I've been to Applebee's.
Like, look, Brent, here's the thing.
What are you comparing? Oh, Charlie's and Applebee's?
Like chain places or like chain restaurants, man. That's what I'm saying.
Literally, like you could go to Texas Roadhouse at 4:30 on a Tuesday and there's a wait. Like everybody eats at Texas Roadhouse. Except Brent.
I believe you. I definitely believe you.
I told you it's one of like 7 restaurants out here, so there's always a wait at Texas Roadhouse in Athens.
You know what?
There's 100 restaurants by me, and literally we went one day at like 5:00, and they were like, "It's going to be 90 minutes," and we were like, Brent has a silver spoon. Yes.
All right. Kind of like what Royer said. This is not about me. This is about D'Artagnan Tinsley. And
it's the one he was
NFL draft.
The silver spoon is the one he was born with in his mouth.
But yeah, no. DT is the man. That is, I mean, just truly. I mean, everyone that knows his story obviously is one, and I actually found it pretty kind of cool that he asked you, Chad, what your thoughts were when you heard about him.
Same thing. Kentucky Christian University. Like,
right.
What? Huh?
Well, I remember it because we needed some offensive linemen added because obviously it was coming off of that year when we ended up losing a handful. I think Metz was projected to start at one guard, and I forget who at the other one. Maybe Dylan O'Quinn or possibly Royer. Help me out here, but he was added, and you just saw his frame, and you were like, "Wow, yep, bring him in, see what he can do." I think Mick Walker was on the recruiting trail for BCJ back then, right, Chad?
Yep.
2002, yeah, something like that. So that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
It's 2021.
2021, yeah, heading in there. But yeah, I mean, Kentucky Christian. He had no offers D1 out of high school. We do have to go back and watch that high school tape because he said if we want a good laugh, we laughed enough. But I'll take some more laughs after this. And how about him revealing that his big man touchdown was called back with the flag? That's something
I would never have told anybody that ever.
Oh, it would definitely be wearing on my soul every time everyone brought it up. I'd be like, well, technically, it's not quite the touchdown, but no, that was awesome though. DT's the man. Hopefully, I mean, he put up some good strength reps, kind of like what he was saying, Royer. Interested in your take on this is like those 40 time and 3 cone drill, like kind of the speed, agility numbers that they have from combines and pro days and stuff. With a interior offensive lineman, I feel like that truly, like, you kind of need to grade them on a different scale when it comes to that kind of thing.
I guess.
Right?
Oh, I didn't know that you were. I thought you were just referencing what I said.
No, I was asking you.
It's I always feel bad for like the O linemen when they always like hyper fixate on like that 40 time, because I really like what he said about the 3-cone, just being able to kind of like get downhill and turn and kind of see his quickness, and not just quickness in a straight line, and being able to kind of like move your hips and stuff. I can almost see that even mattering more for a D lineman more than an O lineman. But I think in reality, it just comes down to like game film, and then, hand size and frame always helps too. But, he's got all those boxes checked, and then being able to kind of be proud of that L cone drill that he put out. That's really good for him. And so really what it comes down in the NFL is just being able to, I'm trying to think of a way to not say this to be a pause, but to, gobble up those D linemen and really make sure they're the really, because it's a phone booth, and just being able to like get your hands on them and extend and have good hand strength, because they can only go in so much space, and you got to be able to engage and hold that engagement for as long as possible. But, I think he's got good game film. That L cone drill, it's going to be good for him. So I'm excited. I think if any camp he ends up at, I think he's going to do well. I think he has the tape and the size to be able to play in the NFL. So I'm really excited for him. You could just tell how good of a guy he is. That's my first time meeting him. So I'm a big fan.
It always blows my mind anytime we hear any of these guys talking about getting ready for the combine and everything, and how they need to get out of combine shape.
How different it is.
And get into football shape. Like, what the hell are we even doing that we are not even in football shape to do the combine, that are supposedly football drills, to now have to get into football shape? It doesn't make any sense to me that this is what they're putting their bodies through to get into two completely different shapes.
I think it just gives them like a good picture of like the overall like ceiling of their athleticism, and like, how much more like can they be put in uncomfortable situations, because that's really what the NFL is going to come down to. It's good on good, and it's good calls on good calls for the most part. And so it's, what is the maximum output of these athletes? And I guess they settle down to like, all right, we have all the film in the world now from college, and now kind of how can we kind of pull out as much as we can on like a report for them, is like the only way I kind of reason it in my head. But I agree with you, Aaron. I think it's mostly about game film, as it should be. But there's always a lot of hype.
And a lot of that combine stuff too, especially the NFL combine itself, not necessarily probably some of the pro day as well. I feel like it's a lot about the meetings as well, on top of, what you do numbers wise. Because even if you just get a combine invite, you're already on everyone's list. It's just, okay, well, when we have our little 10-minute interview with you, how do you do? So hopefully he continues to get good calls. Like him mentioning, the team that begins with a B and ends in an S having their local pro day on the 15th sounds pretty promising. So let's see, continue to track him as the draft. I think it starts on the 24th of this month. So excitement, man. Chad, at every practice, right, this past off-season practice, at Camp Higher Ground and during spring ball, for the most part, there were a lot of scouts there, and a lot of them were asking about, obviously Kandra and different players like that, but Tinsley was right up there with all of them.
Yeah, he's got everything you could want size-wise for an NFL guard, and he moves. He's light on his feet. He's not, a plotter that you have to be in a certain type of system to be able to use. I know the injury in the middle of the year kind of slowed down some of that growth. There was a lot of combine and draft talk about him all the way up to that point, I think that kind of maybe cooled people down a little bit. But I think if he can find the right spot, late round, or catching on as a free agent somewhere. Look, anytime a kid comes from a place like Kentucky Christian University and makes it all the way to the level that he made it, I ain't counting that dude out.
2-year starter,
as you can see here, he's got a big personality. He's engaging. He's fun. He's somebody that is a good teammate. So those are a lot of things that when you're talking about reserve guys or young guys that you're bringing in to be on the practice squad even, or to be, a backup guard or whatever the case may be, they look for that type of thing to go along with the measurables.
Yep.
So he's another, we talked about this with a lot of guys that have come through this program, gonna ace the interview.
Yeah.
Gonna sit down and give you a big smile, and you're gonna love his story, and he's gonna, he's gonna impress you with his personality. So, I think he's got a chance to, like I said, if he doesn't catch on somewhere on the 53 man or whatever the hell it is now, I fully expect him to be on a practice squad and making a good living, continuing to develop and be able to help somebody down the road.
Yep, I agree.
Because there still is plenty of room for improvement, even though it's hard to catch on TV in the NFL because you have so many guys. They're all the same size for the most part, and it's a lot of similar play calling schemes. So you kind of see a lot of guys doing the same thing over and over again, but the good ones always tend to stick out, and it's hard to kind of pick up what makes these guys so good because everyone kind of looks the same in some way. But it's kind of like when you, like he mentioned, being the new guy showing up to college. It's like a lot. Everyone at a Division I college, they're going to be athletic. They're going to have good size and good potential, but learning the scheme, learning your body, and manipulating your play style to the NFL definitely takes time. So he's the kind of guy with a good coach on a good team where next thing you know, 4 or 5 years, you might be seeing DT cracking the starting lineup or first guy in, and can't count a guy like that out with that story, that attitude. So I'm really excited for him.
Yeah. I mean, I know Dave always mentions it on the BCJ pod and different things of that sort. It's just offensive lineman arm length is a massive thing, and that's DT has some arm length that'll put him up there with all of the best, above average on the offensive line. So
it's also why it's so impressive to see him do 30 reps.
Right, exactly.
That's not one of those short, squatty guys. He's got to get it up there.
Yeah, just raw strength, man. That's big.
All the best, all the power to him. But you guys can go ahead and timestamp this, and we can
be careful, Roy. You better be careful, Roy. If that doesn't work out in the NFL, he might have a spot here. He was pretty charismatic.
Man, the more the merrier.
He was.
Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. Quick Paper services over 150 restaurants with weekly, low minimum next day deliveries. They provide a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products. They're eco-friendly and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick, 513-470-2029, and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Boom. This is our final one, right? The final time we get to riff with my good friend Ryan Royer. Should we? Oh, okay. I'll sit this one out then. Sit out the final ever riffing with Royer. Oh, that'd be crazy.
It's a crime.
Absolute crime, a travesty. Take it away, Chad.
Fiercely independent and unabashedly innovative, New Riff produces award-winning bourbon, rye whiskey, and gin at their distillery in Newport, Kentucky. The Aquafire Tasting Room, located on the third floor of the distillery, features cocktails, flights, and pours of New Riff's entire line of spirits, including rare, limited edition, and distillery exclusive releases. Bearcat Journal listeners can save 50% on distillery tours when you use the code Bearcats24. For more information or to book a tour, visit newriffdistilling.com.
Boom, baby.
The last one, Ryan.
The last one.
Let's
Well,
go.
we'll still have riffing with Royer. It just won't be new riffing with Royer.
Okay.
Thank goodness. All right, gentlemen. We'll start off with a excitement factor 1 through 10. No sevens allowed. How excited are we for the crown? This is April.
On a scale of 1 to 10, my excitement level is roughly a 1.5.
Damn, I don't even know why throughout the no sevens allowed.
Yeah, 7 was not going to be anything.
Tried to play
if it was
safe.
if it was at a different time than 3 p.m., which is crazy because they're in Vegas, so that means it's what, like noon there.
You have to play 4 games, Aaron, so you have to start them at noon.
Well, it doesn't help me any because I'm going to be watching children. So it's going to be me just spinning plates tomorrow, essentially. So I'm at a 0.5.
They played earlier in the Big 12 tournament, though.
Yeah, but that was like in
noon works better
time.
for him. That's nap time. Yeah,
that's nap time. I can schedule naps accordingly. This is not,
and especially because we've got 2 that can walk now. Oh, baby, they can be motoring around.
And then 2 coming home from school. None of this works out for me.
So you're at a 1.
No, I'm at a 0.5.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Ryan, did you know that you can't gamble on this tournament anymore?
Huh.
It's all voided. Everything is voided out. It's a non-regulated event. It just blows my mind how that happened. But like you said, this is April. We sleep in May still. April apathy. We've got 3 hours until April. I didn't do my tweet thing. I should have done the damn tweet thing, but I didn't do it. 3 hours till April, guys. This is no April Fools, and I am not going to be fooling you when I say my excitement level is a 5.7.
How much higher would it have been?
9.5.
If you could gamble.
9.5.
Would you have had money on this Nebraska Arizona State barn burner right now?
The Utah game I did, but it got voided out. Everything's voided out.
You had money on Utah,
but dude, it was kind of weird because like on the ticker on FS1 during the games today, it showed our game, and then next to our name it said minus 15.5. When like the line is like 9.5, and then it said 15.5 on there. I was like, are these like adjusted lines? What's going on here? And then all of a sudden this talk about everything's voided out. This is a non-regulated event. It's like, okay, interesting. The crown never ceases to amaze me. Royer, what's your level at?
I'm at a 3. Yeah.
Okay. But the funny thing is, if they win, then they play UCF and it might bump up to a 7. Then if they win again, they
seven's
play. I don't know if they play UCF. UCF has to win first.
Right. Exactly. But that's the weird thing. So UCF plays Oregon State. Oregon State's best player just, committed to who was it? It was to Baylor, I think. So it's like, okay, is he not playing? The whole thing is just, it's very confusing to me. But I do kind of like the whole thing about how if they continue to win, then the Final Four is the day of the Final Four. But gosh, the whole clock on how everything's going, I guess it helps that it's a recruiting dead period, but I don't know. We'll talk more about that here later on in the pod. So, but yeah, I like your pick there. Good job, Ryan.
All right, segue it. Being that all of our excitement is so poor, I'm guessing this makes Wes Miller's job kind of hard to motivate his players for a tournament, a game like this in this kind of dead, weird period. So if you're Wes Miller, what are you saying to the team pregame to get your guys ready to go out there and show good effort and get a W?
I think you just
in
play
a situation
every song
like this.
Play every song about money that you can find on the on the old Apple Shuffle. Just money, 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 just on repeat. Because that's literally the only thing that's left to motivate these guys. If they are probably not coming back.
Yeah. I mean, what's the payouts? 300,000 to the winner.
100,000 to second, and then 50,000 each to third and fourth. So you have to win 2 games to get paid.
Which, I mean,
here's my thing. Go ahead, Brent. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, I'm just saying, it's for me, it's like, okay, you get pretty much an all expenses paid trip to Las Vegas. Obviously you're not going to be partying and whatnot, but it's still, beats being in Cincinnati. I don't know how cold it is for you guys right now, but you get to play with your guys one last time, and you have a chance, like Aaron said, to win some money. So hone in for 1 week, and I think that just raises the focus level a little bit higher than you would imagine, because I mean, like Aaron said, money, 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 money.
I mean, here's the thing. These guys all agreed to play in this. Like, they did not hold anyone hostage and make them agree that they were going to go to Vegas and play in this tournament. And they have the entire roster, to my knowledge. Like, everybody is there. So if everybody is there, everybody agreed to play, you should want to go play and win the thing. Like, that should be the deciding factor. Now, with this team, it has been a little inconsistent on how hard they play sometimes. So, they're going to have to answer that question, which is a question they brought upon themselves. So I think it's one of those things, like, if we see them come out tomorrow engaged and ready to go and playing well, that should be something that carries over. DePaul's not good. So you have a chance against a team that you will be better than. It also looks like they're going to have some guys that aren't there that are going about their transfer portal business. Or at least that's the speculation. There were some guys that are in the portal that were mysteriously missing from DePaul's pictures that they made public. So it looks like they're going to be a little bit shorthanded. I do think they will have Indiana high school legend CJ Gunn available for them.
There we go.
Reed, I would not expect Ray to play 25 minutes. So I would think you're going to see rotations that look a lot like what rotations look like during the season. This is still the 2024-25 season. So I'm not expecting that to look a whole lot different, especially if everybody is already there. I do not expect that answer from me to be popular. I am sure I will get ripped for it, because people like to rip me for things that are happening in the program when I don't actually have any say in anything. So, but if you're there, go win the damn thing. Like, you should be the best team in this tournament. If you look at everybody else that's there, you should be the best team in this tournament. Go win the tournament.
Yeah, why not? And that's kind of my stance on it too. It's like, okay, you've gotten this far. You seem to have a collective of players that want to go out there and win the thing, or else they all would have said, no, we're going to take our next steps because the season's technically over if we want it to be. But no, it does seem like they're all kind of locked in there. So yeah, that's my stance on it too.
Go win the damn thing.
That's right. Royer?
You know what mine is? I say I'm giving each one of you $1,000 for every point that we win by.
Wow.
But it has to be spent gambling.
Ooh. I like this idea.
Can't just walk away with it.
No, you cannot.
Thing that's tough for me. I'm going to be out of town Friday to Monday. A little spring break. The daughter's on spring break. We're headed down to Gatlinburg for the weekend.
Nice.
I really don't want to have to work while I'm down there, but I will. I don't want to have to, but I will. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah. Well.
Yes, DePaul has 7 players. You can't be in the tournament if you don't have 7 players. That is mandatory.
Yeah, will be interesting to see CJ Gunn. What a legend, former recruit. But well, let's see how he does. Yeah, I like it. Royer, you got a next question?
Yes. I know we've been seeing a lot of buzz lately about our Lindenwood wide receiver. Who is someone that you feel like hasn't been getting as much pub lately that's been standing out from spring ball practice?
And that's a tough one because we don't, Ryan, you know this, like the first half of spring ball, there's not a lot of 11 on 11. It's a lot of skill development. It's a lot of position groups. And then towards the end of practice, you'll get a couple periods of 11 on 11 and 7 on 7, but that makes it difficult to really like jump on like, okay, this guy's looked really good. The one guy I will say that has stuck out to me pretty much every day, and we've talked about it on the site, is Manny Covey. We saw him splash a little bit at Texas Tech when they were essentially out of running backs and they threw him in there and he made a couple huge plays. Yeah. He looks like he's ready to take a leap. Like he is ready to continue to ascend in his development. Now it's a crowded running back room, especially with Tyree Walker and Evan Pryor at the top of the group. But I think there's going to be an opportunity for Covey to work his way onto the field. Especially, you're always looking for those dudes that can hit home runs. And he's a guy that if you can get him in space, either via your blocking scheme or getting them in the ball, via the pass, he can make plays. So, that's one that I'm definitely going to keep an eye on based on what we've seen so far from him this spring. I would think it's weird because they're not doing a spring game. They're doing a spring showcase. Like there's not going to be just like the full on scrimmage that we get every year. So I don't know how much they're going to ramp up to that. But Trey Gala-Collard had an interception today in practice. That's a name that flashed at times last year that I think, could find himself in an important role this year as well. Jack Dingle has looked good kind of in that middle linebacker role.
How about Golday?
Golday has been a little dinged up. He was in the black uni today, but we haven't seen him at full strength throughout camp yet. He's had a couple days where he's been full go. So he's ramping back up. They're not going to put him out there a ton as he's, but starting linebacker wise, I like the idea of having Dingle in the middle where they use that as more of like a rush guy, a guy that's gonna get after the quarterback, like Jared Bartlett did last year. And then you have Golday and Simeon Coleman on the outside of him that can fly around and make some plays. And I think we'll see better linebacker play as well.
Yeah.
Just to remind everybody,
and Whedon.
Just to remind everybody, I did look up these stats for Manny Covey in that Texas Tech game. 8 carries for 15 yards, but 6 catches for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Just a friendly little reminder there.
Yeah, that one screen catch and run was like, 75 yards or something like that?
Yeah, 71.
71, yeah. That
Once he's in space,
wild.
You ain't catching him. He can fly.
That game was wild. Looking back on it, I mean, golly, gotta make your field goals. But hey, those tortillas on the field, that was fun, right, Ryan? Reminds me of a Tuesday night at Don Pablo's, another fun restaurant.
Real enchilada.
Brent, you wanna spark my memory on our fun little text we were having late at night?
Yes. Sorry about that. You were telling me on both Friday night and Saturday night, you were like, dog. And I was like, dude, when you say this many dogs, I know that you've been getting into the doggy bag, man. And you had yourself a couple of fun ones. And before you know it, it was time for a little late night snacky snack. So you said, yeah. And you said, wait a minute. Is Shana Bayev going to play in the McDonald's All-American game? And I was like, yes, he is. That is this week, Ryan. Really good. As a matter of fact, you can watch it on Tuesday night, tomorrow night, after the Bearcats win their opening game against DePaul in the Crown. And you were like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Brent, what is your favorite order from McDonald's? Or what's your favorite fast food restaurant? And what do you get from there? And I said, Ryan, this is like a good foodie question to ask on the BBP. So you want to go ahead and ask it, Ryan?
I think you just asked it.
Oh my gosh. A late night treat. You guys are hungry for a little fast food fix. I gave up fast food for Lent, so I'm excited for once Easter comes, I will be able to have myself some tasty fast food. But what's your guys' go-to in your order?
I mean, we have to clarify, like, what is a fast food restaurant, right? For me, in order to be a fast food restaurant, you have to have an order window and a drive-through.
Yep.
Like, if you don't have that, you're not. If I got to walk in and order from a counter, like, and that's the only method of getting the food.
Jersey Mike's is not fast food.
No.
Chipotle is not fast food.
Jersey Mike's is fucking delicious, but I don't consider it a fast food restaurant.
No. I agree with you. So yes, going off those stipulations, correct. Go.
I don't really eat fast food a whole lot anymore.
Okay.
If I had to pick, like, the one thing I think would be my go-to fast food, like, I would go spicy Asiago chicken sandwich from Wendy's.
Oh,
that's a legit chicken sandwich. Like, that's good shit. Yeah. So I'll go with that.
Zesty. I like it. Aaron, what you got, man?
Counts as fast food. They've got an order window and a pickup.
For late night, I've been having some adult beverages type meal.
Correct.
I'm going probably Whitey's. Some jalapeno sliders. And however many I'm feeling that night, you got to get enough chicken rings to eat one in between every slider.
Okay. You don't put the chicken ring on the slider?
No, that's too much work, especially in that type of inebriation. No, I'm good.
So you get a crave case because you got 30 chicken rings.
Probably 10. I'm probably going 10 sliders.
Okay.
Yeah.
Royer, what about you? What gives you 5 booms?
I'm a Wendy's guy. Dave's double, baby.
Hey, baby.
There we go.
No Baconator?
I mean, is Steak and Shake considered fast food?
It's on the slower end of fast food because you can sit in that drive-through line for 30 minutes sometimes. But they have the prerequisites. They have the order window, like they have the order thing, and then the drive-up window. So yeah, I consider that fast food. You have to carve out, like, that's not like I'm in a hurry. I have to get home to be on the BBP. I'm going to stop at Steak and Shake. That's how you end up like 8 minutes late for the podcast every time.
Yeah.
I think Steak and Shake's burger is probably the best fast food.
They're good.
Burger, though.
Well, have you had Freddy's?
Wendy's second. No, I haven't.
Will Fresco melt?
Yeah.
So Freddy's is basically a better Steak and Shake, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's the very thin, crispy. Yeah, there's some in Cincinnati now.
Chick-fil-A. No one named that one. That one's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Turn on late night. We're getting Chick-fil-A late night. I got church.
You're the one that added the late night stipulation.
No, Brent had the late night. He was
texting me at like 2 a.m. saying, what should I get?
Okay.
I was like, all right.
There's one on Red Bank Road, Royer, a Freddy's.
I got to try it out then.
Man, I'm a sucker for Taco Bell. Quite a few times I've done that, late night DoorDash order. You fall asleep, you wake up the next morning, you got breakfast, Just open your front door and there it is. You're like, whoa, all right.
Time to eat.
So when I lived out in LA, we lived really close to a Fat Burger. Fat Burger is a West Coast staple. It's delicious. It was In-N-Out before In-N-Out. One night, Aaron, after a heavy night of debauchery at the Hermosa Beach Pier, went to Fat Burger, and my roommate Rick got a King Burger, which is like the size of it's huge. It's like the size of your face. And Rick comes home, sits down on the couch, starts to eat his King Burger, lays down, passes out on the couch with the King Burger in his hand.
Oh, wait.
Wake up the next morning, and I'm like, bro, what are you doing? And he kind of groggily wakes up, looks, and realizes he's got the King Burger still in his hand, and just, I'm having breakfast. I'm having breakfast.
My kind of guy right there. My kind of guy.
Cane's is awful, Stump. I'm sorry. I'm not a Cane's guy. Those chicken fingers are they're like this big. Like you got to eat 15 of them to fill up. Like I'm not a Cane's person.
Yeah.
Almost as big as the snowstorm that you had.
Oh, no.
Yeah, like really big.
A lot of snow.
Really,
Cane's chicken fingers are massive. That's what I think. They truly are. Marcus,
hey, no matter big or small, they all get dumped in the sauce.
Amen, right? Amen. Sauce.
2 triple whoppers is absurd, Marcus.
Oh, I love
That's
it.
absurd.
Good job, Marcus. Fired
Is that
up.
Corleone's burner?
I like it's not the 2 triple whopper part. It's the small fry. I just want a small fry. I'm having 2 triple whoppers. I only need a small fry.
Yeah, that's right.
The Dr. Pepper I'm down with. Crypt Keeper says Wendy's the best chili in Cincinnati.
He's trying to fight.
He's trying to start a fight. Thrifty Walrus says they don't actually have fast food in Athens. They still haven't gotten access to cars, so there's no need.
7 restaurants. And there are Amish out here too, so don't you worry. There are some without cars.
Thrifty Walrus just had Shake Shack. Shake Shack is delicious. No argument there.
It is good.
Yeah. Stump, you're not going to be able to talk me into Cane's. Brent thinks the chicken fingers are huge. I don't.
Pause. Yeah, but no. Yeah. Hey, you know what? That's talking fast food on the BBP. Let's go ahead and timestamp this. We got to move on.
All right. That timestamp brought to you by Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. To-go containers, cups, pizza boxes, to-go bags, can liners, napkins. They've been open since 2009 and are one of the largest minority-owned companies in the city. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases. Also, we need a sponsor for this segment. If you want to see Riffin with Royer continue, we're going to need a sponsor for this segment. DMs are open. Hit me up. We'll get you in here. We'll get your local business in as a sponsor, and you can riff with Royer with your name on it. Hit me up.
Boom. That's what I'm talking about. Well, as the chat is blowing up and my X.com app is blowing up with the Ellie De La Cruz boomstick night, I talk a little other news that happened earlier today. And by the way, is Ellie using those torpedo bats? I mean, those things just like
tonight was his first game with it.
I mean, those things they're gonna outlaw
and
he
hit 2 bombs.
I think I think the balls are juiced too, just making it a little bit fuel to the fire.
Those torpedo bats are nuts,
dude. Like, there was people using them. People were using them last year too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
They look so weird. Like, I mean, whatever.
They make sense. It's a good idea.
Right. Right. I mean, it looks like those are crafted at GE or something, man.
They are within the collectively bargained rules of the sport. So let them go.
So let Ellie hit 75 homers. Let's go.
I'll be
Matt
curious
says you
to
need to
see the
get
numbers.
Big Mama's burrito. Aaron, Matt says you need to get Big Mama's burritos after a night of drinking.
Yeah, that's a good
Okay.
little Athens Court Street stop right there.
Ooh.
I used to rip that visiting the boys down there.
Royer knows his Athens. How about
Yeah.
that? I love it. I love it. But
That
but yeah,
the Goodfellas, the thick pizza from Goodfellas there, is money.
Aaron's salivating. I love it.
I know these spots.
But no, Athens is great. I drove through it one time. It was amazing. But some news earlier today that was not the Torpedo Bats and Ellie De La Cruz was the official announcement of Corey Evans joined the Cincinnati staff, and then the official announcement of Drew Adams leaving for Indiana. Chad, you have been hot on the scoop for both of those. Kind of break down first off with what you obviously we've talked about it before, but what you think immediately Corey Evans can bring to this immediate roster build that is currently taking shape, and of course what the loss of Drew Adams brings as well.
I mean, Corey is as the thing you want, or at least that I want, if I'm looking for, because I'm still like in basketball terms, I don't know that it's like an absolute must that a GM is included into the mix. But if you're going to have one, I think the biggest thing is to have one that has connections at every level of the sport. And that's AAU coaches, AAU programs, college coaches, NBA, the ear of NBA scouts, because they're for the transfer portal, you got to remember, like, NBA scouts are out on the road every day for the entire college basketball season scouting. And not only are they looking at the NBA the surefire NBA prospects, they're watching the game and they're sitting there taking notes and analyzing everything that's happening. So to have, it's a lot like Jack Griffith from the football side, who was an NFL scout. And now he comes in and he can dip into his vast level of contacts to get as much information as humanly possible. If you're going to bring somebody in for this job, you want somebody to have as many of those contacts as possible, because in order to win in today's game, you have to be versatile. It's not as simple as just, we're going to get our whole roster from the portal, or we're going to build everything from the high school ranks and develop. There is a mix of all of those things that are necessary in order to be effective in college basketball in 2025. And if you look at the teams that were in the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight and the Final Four, the point is there's a lot of different ways to do it. But the main thing is talent evaluation. You've got to get it right. Money helps. The main thing is money. But you can have a lot of money and get it wrong, I guess is my point. So you want to make sure that you've got somebody that has their hands in all of those baskets, and Corey does. One of the things that I don't think has been talked about a lot is, you're dealing with the guy that he started his scouting service in like 2011 and ran that for 10 years. And that's kind of how he got on the radar of this world, being a scouting guy who's a national guy for Rivals. The way that those scouting services survive is that schools pay for the scouting service, and then the scout sends them updates from all the events that they go to, all the games that they watch, all the intel that they gather. So he's going to know a ton of assistant coaches around college basketball. He's going to know a ton of AAU coaches and guys that run AAU programs from his time as a national scout. He's going to know the NBA scouts from his time as an NBA scout. And having somebody that can tie all of those worlds together is going to give you an advantage. Yeah. How significant an advantage? Like, we'll see. It's the game is a lot different now. But if you're going to have a GM, you want somebody that checks all those boxes. And I think Corey checks all those boxes. So I think from that standpoint, if you're going to go in the GM direction, this is the way that I would go about it. And I've been one that's been skeptical because I if you bring in somebody with just one of those boxes checked, then you've got a guy running your operation that doesn't have his hands in all the goodie bags.
Right.
So I think that's that's why you're seeing a lot of these GM hires be guys that have kind of, lived in a couple different worlds at least.
Yeah.
Andrew Slater just got the same job with NC State. Like it's becoming Brian Snow, who just left Notre Dame, but spent 2 years as a director of recruiting, essentially what this GM role is becoming. So it's very valuable in that aspect to do all that. Can we expect a presser from Corey Evans after the crown? I don't know if you can expect a presser from Corey Evans after the crown, but I do know you can expect Corey Evans to be on this network sometime in the not too distant future, discussing his new role and what it is and what he brings. I don't know if it's going to be this show. I don't know if it's going to be the BCJ pod. That'll probably depend on availability, how quick we can get him on. But at some point in time here in the not too distant future, I have secured a verbal commitment from Corey Evans to be on this network before he talks anywhere else to the UC fan base. So
lock it in. Boom.
Us doing what we do.
That's all we do. I also
want to know what else I secured?
What did you secure?
The spring showcase is April 12th, right? That's a Saturday.
Yep.
So the Monday night after the spring showcase, April 14th. Nico.
The boy's back in town. One thing that I really liked from Jack on the pod, on the BCJ pod, was talking about how his relationships that he built with other NFL scouts all across the country, and then just being able to say, hey, do you have any kind of diamonds in the rough that you guys had as like a day 2 NFL draft grade down the future? And he was saying, other scouts kind of just get the job done for you, trying, finding that lead. And once you're able to then use that, then you can dive into the player yourself and see if it fits in your program. So I imagine having the multitude of connections that Corey Evans has will bring that ability to kind of put in the legwork to find the initial names, find the initial contacts, and then being able to then decide, does this fit with the NIL? Does this fit on the team roster build? So, and one thing, always, and a lot of the world, especially in the social media landscape, is about, just kind of scratching someone's back so they scratch your back. But it truly genuinely seemed like everyone across the national media landscape had nothing but glowing things to say about Corey Evans and getting hired at UC. So when you see all these people come out, and they don't have to say something about it. Right. They don't have to say something about him, but they are making comments on it. It's only a positive. So excited to see what he is able to do as he gets things rolling. You, Chad, on the board, you said he's going to be down at the Final Four, and yet again, there's just more connections. So, the Final Four is what it is. But I had a buddy that used to go to every Final Four. His dad was heavily involved in, NCAA and IHSA in Indiana. So they kind of just had the connections there. And literally all it is just pretty much a meet and greet with who's who in college basketball. So it's going to be awesome to see what he's able to pull from there. As far as the Drew Adams, Chad, you were kind of all over this last week as things started to bubble up. And then, of course, the IHSA state championships this past weekend in Indianapolis. There was Coach Adams sitting next to new head coach of the Indiana Hoosiers, Dan DeVries. So things kind of were checking out on that front. Kind of just what, obviously, because you guys had a budding friendship that, went outside of just basketball and workship. So just kind of talk about what Drew Adams heading to Indiana obviously makes sense. and kind of what you see as the next step trying to fill that void.
I mean, it hurts because Drew had his hands in a lot. He was the recruiting director. That's why, especially because of the portal, Drew is heavily connected in the agent world. And that's why you see, I know people have gotten mad at me for passing along information again. But that's a guy that I expected Drew Adams to go after. That's because he's well dialed into the agent community, and that's where a lot of this operates now. I've seen people say hire assistant coaches that are their specialty is coaching because money is how you get players from the transfer portal. Well, Cincinnati doesn't have the money to just go win against anybody in a bidding war in the transfer portal. So you need people with contacts that are connected to agents, that are connected to, all the different ways to access talent. Drew had a lot of those connections. So he's going to be connected to a lot of guys in the transfer portal. Does that mean that Indiana is going to automatically recruit them, or that they're going to, just because Drew was trying to get them here? Oh, well, they're not, Indiana's not on the list. That look how, no, situations are different. Things are not the same, but Drew was very connected, very respected in those circles. So that was going to allow Cincinnati to be in on some guys that entered the portal. I don't think I think there's one other name left I knew that was a Drew connection that could enter the portal that hasn't yet. Other than that, I don't know of any other ones. Obviously, a lot of them have come out in the past 2 days because Drew's leaving. And that's how this happens. It's like, okay, well, I wouldn't pay attention to that one now, even though Cincinnati's been mentioned with them, because the coach that was, kind of the lead for that is now gone. So that doesn't mean all of them. There's going to be some overlap, I would guess, where Corey also has similar connections and is able to continue that recruitment for Cincinnati. That's, I think, where it's critical for Corey to kind of step in now, as he is. Coincidence that he started on the day Drew leaves, but ultimately that's a lot of what, you're still going to see Andre Morgan and Chad Dollar heavily involved in a bunch of this stuff. But I think you're also going to start to see some Corey Evans influence this week into next week. Everything goes dead on April 3rd and is dead for a week. And then after the 10th, I think you'll start to see visits really pick up here for Cincinnati once the dead period ends.
Yeah, as far as the portal does go, it does seem like there's been, on the X.com, the Everything app, quite a few just kind of, names that have been linked to Cincinnati about potential visits and whatnot. What Harlan Oha, sorry if I said that wrong. I definitely did. There's a mention about from UNC Wilmington, the big man, saying that a visit after the dead period here. Obviously, you saw Jalen Sellers release his top 4, and Bearcats are listed in there. Some discussions about a Tyree Bryan from Santa Clara, same high school as Jizzle. Sincere Harris obviously was mentioned last week. Is there kind of is it a vetting period during this time still? Or is this kind of the names are coming out, and the more that you see the connections, it's kind of going to be where that path leads?
I think it's a little bit of a mix. I think you go in with, okay, these are the guys we think are going to enter, that we think we're going to have a chance with, or that, we have connections or inroads to. And then I think there's also a part of it that is you're still monitoring everybody that goes in the portal to see, okay, do we like this guy? Okay, let's figure out who his representation is, or let's figure out if we have any connectivity to this recruitment. There's a couple different, nothing is cookie cutter in recruiting.
Yeah.
So I do think there was a list of probably 25, 30 guys that, they say, okay, if this guy enters the portal, we think we have, the kid from Santa Clara. Is that where he's played with
Yeah.
Jizzle?
Tyree.
Like, that's a kid we have a connective tissue to because he played high school basketball with Jizzle. We have watched him play high school basketball with Jizzle. We know his high school coach. We know some of the connectivity there. So if this guy goes in the portal, we're going to be involved. And then you're going to have a bunch of other ones where you're just watching tape and going, ooh, that guy looks like something we like. That guy looks like he might, give us something that we need. And then you work through that. So it's a little bit of multiple things, Brent. Did the crown get in the way? Probably. If they didn't have to go to Vegas, would we maybe see a visit or two happening right now? Potentially, but that's not how it's happening. They had to go play in this tournament. That changes the calendar a little bit, but it doesn't change that they're still doing Zoom calls. They're still, in contact with these recruits. They're still working their list. It's just the visits are going to happen a little later than anticipated.
Are there any names that you're seeing crop up that kind of pique your ears, or is it kind of just more so
I don't even do
we've
that
seen
anymore.
Yeah.
I don't even. I mean, yeah, sure. Yaxel Lindenborg. That name popped up, and I like him.
Andy Kennedy's going to help us out there, right?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and AK will be all over that one.
Yeah.
Look, Yaxel's probably he's either going to the NBA or my guess, Bruce Pearl has sold him very heavily on this is Jonai Broom, and this is you replacing Jonai Broom.
Yeah. Go ahead and come join us, and we'll head to another Final Four. There you go. All right. Anything? Well, obviously you mentioned on the board about the kind of the timeline for the next steps for finding that assistant coach replacement.
I think it's going to be a little. I don't think there's any rush. Like,
I
think it's going to be a little bit to get that figured out and set up. We'll see. I don't. They're obviously Wes will have that. You've always got that list of guys in your contacts that you're going to check on, see if you can make things work out, and then kind of shrink or expand the list from there. So, nothing imminent. I think the Drew stuff, unfortunately, was just a matter of the guy's from Bloomington, Indiana. And if you grew up in Bloomington, Indiana, chances are there's a part of you that always wanted to give it a shot at good old IU. Yeah. And he's been there as an assistant or as a GA or whatever he was at that point in time. And now he gets to go back. So more power to him. Drew was a great guy. Somebody I was friends with long before he came to Cincinnati from back. You know how I got to know Drew, Brent Young?
I would imagine AAU, but.
Do you know who was on that Indiana elite team that led to me getting to know Drew Adams?
Deontay Vaughn? Was
no.
That? No. We talking before or after?
A little bit after.
Okay. Indiana.
You know this one.
I definitely do, and I'm going to kick myself when I say I give up. But who was it?
Jeremiah Davis.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
I was in and around covering
JD.
Indiana Elite a lot at that time because I got to know JD pretty well, and so that's how I got to know Drew. I've known Drew since 2000. What was that? 2008, 2009, something like that.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember which game Jeremiah had that one game where he kind of went off a little bit. Who was that? I forget. But yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's let's see here. Freshman year, 13 points. Yeah, 3. No, not Arkansas Pine Bluff. It was a bigger game than that. Maybe St. John's game. We'll go with the St. John's game. Hit a 3-pointer with 9 seconds remaining to tie the game against St. John's. There it is.
JD, right. Good old JD.
JD3, baby. All right, cool.
But that's how long I've known Drew. So it stinks to see him go because he's been somebody that I got to know and have considered a friend for a long time. So it was good having him around. But the beat goes on.
Yeah, that's right. It does. And of course, stay locked into the board as as we will continue to bring you all the keep an eye on this name, as Chad likes to pepper in every once in a while. So
that's one to keep an eye on.
That's one to keep an eye on. So but yeah, I mean, if there's nothing else, basketball. You know what? Our focus is on the crown. That's tomorrow. Our focus is on the crown.
I thought Aaron was giving us a detailed DePaul preview tonight.
Yeah, that's what's next. The mailbag is canceled for the night. He's got the Chris Holtman interview that he's going to play next, and a deep dive into the Blue Demons. Take it away, Aaron.
I don't have the timestamp read.
Oh, I'll timestamp read, and then you're going to take it away with the Chris Holtman interview?
That.
Okay. Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They service over 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next-day deliveries, providing a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick, 513-470-2029, and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases. I did want to get to a couple of the questions real quick. How large of a staff do you expect Corey Evans to have? I don't. We have not seen much of that yet, where like in football, the GM has, a guy in charge of transfers and a guy in charge of high school and guy in charge of hosting visits. Football has a lot more kids that they recruit, so you absolutely need a staff. Basketball really hasn't gotten to that point yet. So
unless you're Steph Curry or Trae Young.
Right.
Nick Van Exel tweeted him asking if he needed an assistant.
Any chance DeMar returns? Probably not. You're looking at somebody that's going to need to be pretty experienced, I think, in the role that they are looking to hire. It was Mike Roberts, then it was Drew Adams. Both of those guys have been on the bench for a long time, have been around college basketball for a long time, and worked their way up the ranks. I think it will be somebody more in that realm. How do we feel about the Harlan Obioa? I don't know how to say that guy's last name. He's from UNC Wilmington. Big, 7 foot, 260. Fairly skilled. I would need to see a little bit more tape wise. I haven't watched a ton on him at this point, but is he physical enough to handle the Big 12? He has the size to do it. But is he a guy that looks for contact? I think that's very important in what they are needing to add in the portal in the post. So still gathering some information. I do know they are involved. There is not a visit date yet, but I can confirm he will visit or is scheduled to visit tentatively sometime when they return from the dead period, which would be April 11th. Does Sellers intrigue me? Yeah. I'm hesitant on anybody that played in that program. Call me crazy.
Man, you crazy.
Apparently, DeVries went after Drew when he was at WVU. I can confirm that. They did try to hire Drew away last year when DeVries took the job. Drew stayed here, thought it was a better opportunity. But the chance to go home was large. McDonald's game tomorrow, obviously. SK wants to be a coach. I would recommend doing the same thing that I just talked about. Find somewhere that will put you on staff and work your way up the ladder as a coach. A lot of people want to be a lot of things. It takes work to get there. And right now, SK is not in the coaching profession. You don't just get to declare that you are a college coach. It's not really how that works.
Mailbag. All right, starting off in the football portion of the mailbag. Any insight into how much season ticket sales were off this year?
No. I don't have any insight to that.
Do you think UC should copy what Coastal Carolina is doing for concessions? For those of you who don't know, they are offering, I believe it's free nachos, free hot dogs, Free soda, and
popcorn.
one more thing.
Popcorn.
It is popcorn. Yep. All you can eat at every game for football.
Limit 4 on each trip. Like, that's just crazy.
I mean, I would assume you would lose a lot of money on that proposition in a stadium with 35, 40, 45,000 people.
Unless tickets were like all those costs were built into the ticket.
Yeah, built into your ticket. Yeah.
Which
you would also the Reds used to do something kind of like this where they had like the dollar window, and there was only one window that would offer these prices, and it was way off in the corner of the stadium where it wasn't super convenient. So maybe you do something like that where you just have one window doing it, and you don't make it easily accessible for the entire stadium. I don't know. I guess there's something that you could do there, but whatever.
And they're going to spend money on the beer still. So, go up there, get yourself a couple of food options and then beer. Royer, what are your thoughts on that? Just like, I mean, I'd go to a Coastal Carolina game if I was in town.
It's great. It's a great tactic by their media team there, or marketing team, I should say. But yeah, I don't think it's possible to do here, man. And the amount of fans would destroy the budget.
There'd be so many like leftover food things all over Nippert after the game.
Oh my god!
The stands, just hundreds of hot
People
dogs.
would game the system
uneaten.
somehow, sneak in just to eat.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like, Nippert has been pretty close to a sellout since the renovation. You don't need something like that to enhance ticket sales. Like, that's why you do something like that, to get people to buy season tickets. Come buy season tickets and we'll give you all of your food for free.
Coastal Carolina gimmick.
Yeah.
And we also have a huge student population, which would just
And the student section is for the most part, like you said, Chad, also pretty full and early. So students would take full advantage of that. So I just think it's impossible to do.
That's the football portion of the mailbag. Moving on to the basketball portion of the mailbag. Question for Brent. The Bearcats are plus 450 to win the crown. Are you taking the bet? If so, please call 1-800-GAMBLER to speak with a counselor as soon as possible.
They are no longer plus 450 to win the
crown.
Brent
works through a bookie.
That I do. But no, I don't anymore. Are you kidding me? I do everything that's regulated. I'm cool. I'm clean. I'm nothing wrong going on here.
Mm-hmm. Again, that's 1-800-GAMBLER. Brent
got him on speed dial.
I bet you do.
Sometimes I check him in my group chat with Roy. We say, "Hey, should we call the gamblers?" He's like, "Yeah." Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Gut check. Which is more likely, the Bearcats win the crown or the Bearcats lose in round 1 of the crown?
Win.
Win.
I agree. Paul's just too depleted.
I don't think there's a snowball's chance in hell they're losing to DePaul, even if they ran out the team that we saw this season minus 3 dudes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. DePaul gave Hoot Creighton a run for their money.
Okay.
What? They did.
I'm just saying. I'm not seeing it.
Okay. Fair.
They do have the Chris Holtman thing. He's given the Bearcats fits over the years.
That's a good point.
Which Bearcat would get at least 20 minutes of regular playing time on any of the Final Four teams?
None of them.
Yeah, none.
Here's the thing. If you're a Ken Pom guy, dating back to the beginning of the Ken Pom era, which I think was 1997.
Yep.
if you look at the highest rated teams in the Ken Pom era, the top 10 rated teams in all of college basketball in the Ken Pom era, 4 of them are in this Final Four, including number 2 all time in the Ken Pom era, Duke. So, who do you think, Killer V, would play 20 minutes a game on any of these Final Four teams? They are all very good. They are all paid considerably more than anybody on the Cincinnati roster. I do not see anybody on this roster that would play 20 minutes on any of the Final Four teams. Final answer.
I mean, there are what? So Aziz, Skillings, Dylan, Day, Seamoss, and Jizzle all averaged over 20 minutes per game. None of them had more than 28 minutes per game. Dylan had the most at 28. I mean, I guess if you had to pick one that would be close to it, I think it would be Dylan, just because his athleticism can match, those, but it would be kind of more of a role. But just 20 minutes is it's a sizable chunk of minutes, and you'd have to be replacing one of the already high level players that are on the teams to take minutes away from them. So,
let's see, filibuster for a second.
Who do you think, Ryan?
On our team?
Yeah.
I mean, the only one could be Jizzle.
I mean, I think Brent is probably right with Dylan. I don't okay, let's say with Houston. He's getting 20 minutes a game with LJ Cryer, Emmanuel Sharp, and Milos Uzan playing 30 minutes a game, and then Terrence Archino playing 20 minutes a game,
right? And
Malik Wilson playing 17.6. Jizzle's going to carve out 20 minutes a game he's going to take 20 minutes a game from that group.
Probably.
And
not.
then Dylan's going to play 20 minutes a game over Jawan Roberts, Joseph Tugler, and Javier Francis, who only plays 15 minutes a game.
It would be like the Francis role,
right?
Like
Francis who only plays 15 minutes a game.
Big man. And by the way, if you guys start to hear a big boom here, there's something going on right now outside here that is going to be similar to what the Bearcats are going to do on the Crown starting tomorrow. And that's right, they're going to blast off to a victory. We've got ourselves a launch going on outside. So if you hear a big boom, that's what it was. Blast off.
Okay.
All right. Rank the following 3 positions in need of importance. A playmaking one who can distribute / floor raise. A combo / 2 guard who can get you a bucket. Or a 4-5 that can score in the post, hopefully that can pass well.
I mean, I want the big, to be honest.
Yeah, big's number 1, my end.
I guess it depends on who comes back. Like what's the official final? Who's coming back and who's leaving? That would obviously pertain more to what's answering it. But I like the big. I don't want to put too much faith in Sean Abayev, but he's about to play in the McDonald's All-American game tomorrow, and I tell you what, he needs to come in and be our savior. Bring us the Mickey D's, man. Come on. Outside of that, though, Royer, I didn't mean to cut you off. I want you to come back in here and spill your knowledge on the assembled crew. But yeah, I'd probably go the 4-5.
You got to rank them in order: 1, 2, and 3.
4. I see. Like it's about. I mean, I kind of give do Jizzle and Day come back, and then so much is predicated on what is the returning. It's needs of importance. I mean, if you could kick, Jizzle to the 2, and he's someone that can kind of give you buckets. But probably play him at the 1 still. If he comes back, 4-5 would be my number 1. Then give me a combo 2 guard that can get you a bucket. We did valuably miss that, but maybe that's Abayev, and so that'll be my No, I'll say get a bucket 2, playmaking 1, 3, because I feel like those will kind of be more plentifully available.
I do agree 4 or 5 is 1. Here's the problem with like a playmaking 1, distributing 1. Those days are dead. They don't exist anymore. Like you've got to have a lead guard that can get you some buckets. So the way that this is phrased, if you're talking about a 1 that can score, but also is a better distributor than what you have, that would be my number 2. But this is just a playmaking 1 that can distribute, see the floor. I mean, do you think DeJuan Harris makes this roster much better? Because I love DeJuan Harris, but he held Kansas back because that was a guy on the floor at all times that wasn't a threat to give you buckets.
Right.
So I toss out the notion of like a true point guard because it doesn't work in today's game, putting a guy out there that has the ball in his hands more than anybody else that can't score. So if you can go get a point guard that can give you 12 to 15 a night, but is also a great passer, that would be my number 2. But that's not how this question was stated. So you need somebody, you got to get a bucket getter on this team. I would prefer it be a 1 because that's the guy with the ball in his hands the most. But the way this question is asked, 4 or 5, then 2, then 1. My skin crawls every time I hear that, Brent.
What?
We need a pass first point guard.
Oh yeah, the pass first. Yeah.
Not anymore.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, okay, look at all the teams that are in the Final Four. Show me the pass first point guard.
Right.
I mean,
go to the Elite 8. Go to the Sweet 16.
Walter Clayton.
Show me the pass first point guard.
People are throwing around Steph Curry. I disagree there. But then you've got, I mean, Houston doesn't really even use a point guard.
I mean, Uzan's a point guard.
Yes, sorry. But he's also getting buckets, yeah.
Yeah, he has turned into a guy that's giving you significant lift as a scorer.
Right. And then at Duke, you got what, Proctor, I guess.
Yeah.
He hit back-to-back games with 6 or more threes to begin this. I mean, it's moved on from that.
Uzan scored 16 against Purdue. They're 22 against Purdue, 16 against SIUE in the opening game, 25 against Arizona in the conference championship, 14 against BYU, 14 against Colorado, 12, 10, 22, 19, 19, 12, 12, 17. Like, he is a distributor that sees the floor, but he's also somebody you have to guard, somebody that is a threat to score at all times. That's not necessarily what he does every game.
Right.
But you have to try to stop him offensively. Like, he is not a floor general, so to speak.
And I guess like Auburn, kind of, but like, I mean, Denver Jones, I guess, is their point guard, but Pettiford's more their point guard, but he comes off the bench. But Denver Jones is more just a defensive specialist that can score. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of gone to the wayside. For sure.
All right. If the Bearcats play each Final Four team 5 times, over under on 4.5 wins out of 20 games.
0 times do they beat any of these Final Four teams. 0 times.
I mean,
what are we doing? Why are we doing this? That, like, the answer. Why ask the question? The answer. They're nowhere close to as good as any of these Final Four teams. 0.0 times. We are now dumber.
The way to put it is this. People are saying that if you rank the 4 Final Four teams, they say that Houston is like the least of the 4 because like Florida is the hottest. Right. No, I
don't say that.
Oh, neither do I. But like, I listened to a bunch of national pods today, and it's just like that's all they're saying. It's like, okay, if you're putting Houston as your 4th Final Four team, and then this question comes up, I mean, I don't think we could beat Houston when we had 5 tries. I don't know. I hate to bash on us, but I do think the answer is 0.
I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Like, do you want, like, if you ask the questions, 4.5 is crazy talk. 4.5, they don't even sniff 4.
Royer, what are you doing? 4.5 wins, over under.
I'm under, man. I mean, what we've never beat. What are we? The past 10 games versus Houston? Are we 0-10?
Yeah.
Like 1-9? What is it?
Last time we beat them was right before global pandemic. Just let that sink in.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Think how long ago that was.
When Wes was hired at UC, his ability to recruit was a major positive. With NIL, has the current landscape taken away one of his strengths? Seems recruiting comes down to money in 95% of instances.
According to who? According to Bearcat 30? Like, is money important? Yes, but you still have to be able to recruit the kid. There are still other teams trying to get the kids that you're getting. Like, you have to be able to recruit. It is still critically important. Yes, is Cincinnati out on guys that want $2.5 to $3 million a year? Yes, because it doesn't make sense to have that when you only have, say, $6 million. You're going to spend half of it on one guy, and then you're going to try to patchwork the rest together. That doesn't work for Cincinnati. But there is a level of competing with other high majors to get high major talent. You still have to have assistant coaches that have the connections and a head coach that knows how to recruit. Go look at the comments that is in Keegan's article today from Sean Abayev. One of the reasons he came here was his relationship with Wes Miller. He could have gone anywhere else for a lot of money. He picked Cincinnati. You still have to be able to recruit. Like, everybody is losing their mind over the way that things are developing. And instead of keeping a level head and understanding, there is some middle ground in this. I know everything seems bananas right now. And then in large part, that's because it is. But that doesn't mean you just throw the baby out with the bathwater. And, like, if you go get a coach that can't recruit and is a great X and O's coach, then you have bad talent in one of the best leagues in America. Does that seem like a good idea to anybody? I don't think it does. And that's not saying Wes is the guy. That's saying whether Wes is the guy or the next guy is the guy or the next guy after that guy is the guy, you're still going to have to get somebody that has bona fide recruiting chops, because you're playing in one of the best leagues in America and all of those coaches can recruit. It is still very much a necessity. Yeah, it worked for Rutgers, who spent all their money on 2 guys and couldn't put a roster around them to win. You're exactly right, Thrifty Walrus.
We have been in banana land since Josh Reed declared himself the mayor, by the way. Just saying.
He declared himself the mayor? When did that happen?
We saw it on the court.
Oh, well, he didn't say it. That's how you declare yourself something.
He's not a
All right.
All right.
Damn.
How is it that Adams had all the portal connections, even though everything is run through agents?
Because he knows the agents. What are we doing? What are we doing?
That's the end of the basketball mailbag. There is one last question. It actually was in the baseball mailbag.
Oh, wow.
From I think last week.
Okay.
But it was a question asked today in last week's mailbag because I stopped doing baseball because no one was asking questions. But will the Bearcats commit NIL dollars to the baseball program to remain competitive in the Big 12? If Nathan Taylor wants to stay next year, how do we find $750,000?
You donate $750,000
to Bearcat Journal.
That's it. Yeah, there will be some money for the other sports. The majority of it is going to football and basketball because those are the revenue generating sports. Somebody on the board said the other day we need to donate some dollars to women's lacrosse. What are we doing? Do you want to compete at the highest level or not? Baseball is going to get some money. If you have a guy that wants $750,000, he's probably going to play somewhere else next year. Unless there is a very generous benefactor that wants to fund the baseball program. That's the reality.
Uke.
The Uke.
I don't think.
I don't know if he has
that much money.
750.
I mean, I think this is a good time to remind everyone that the Bearcats did just sweep UCF on the diamond. So how about that?
Yeah.
Quick class to the
That's not to take anything
boys.
away from the Bearcat baseball program. Give them as much funds as you can give them. But at the expense of football and basketball? Absolutely not. No, stop it.
That's the mailbag. Get us out of here, Brent.
You know what, guys? April's here. April apathy, as my dear friend Ryan Royer said one time. We have 2 hours. Oh. Okay. 2 hours until April is here. 30 Walrus is on fire tonight, if you will. And I do want to give a quick shout out to someone that I could not, that I have not given a shout out to yet, and that is Danco Transmission Out of Here. We love you, Danco Joe. You know, Danny Tinsley was on here, and he wants you to know that if you want to go get your car checked, Royer, how are the new wheels rolling?
They're great, man. Can't get any better.
Wow. You know what? If you need to get something checked out, okay, head over to Danco Transmission and Auto Care. They'll get you hooked up. $10 off next oil change, 10% off next fixing, Danco. So shouts to them. Shouts to Quick Paper Supply. Shouts to New Riff. We'll miss you. And shouts to D'Artagnan Tinsley. Best of luck to him the rest of the way. But guys, the crown is here. The crown is upon us.
Welcome to
Lock
April.
in. DePaul tomorrow, 3 p.m. Shana Bayev tomorrow, 9 p.m. Deoxander tomorrow at 7 p.m., right? Yeah. It's all here. It's all here. And so stay locked into BCJ as we'll bring you all you need to see before we get to it. But for my guys, for pals, for the crew, Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, and Ryan Royer, I am Brent Young. Yet again, another fantastic BBP presented by BearcatJournal.com.
Stay up.